Well, the original plan was 3 years ago that we were going to integrate, and we planned a staged process to go forward with integration. And the first stage was co-location, because across the hospital the different roles were in different offices, different floors across the literally across the hospital. So therefore there was a decision made that, and a refurbish, and resources were given to us in 2011 to actually move into D3 as a co-located integrated discharge team.
I actually came on site in April 2012. Mm-hmm. And the team had co-located at that point. But having said that, I had worked with on a different hospital site that doesn't have an integrated team at all. So just to see them located, I thought was a real plus.
The co-location was a major factor for everybody to be together. Also, I think peer support, awareness of each other's roles, of how they impacted on patient-customer journeys. You'll hear me refer to patient-customer. Manchester tend to refer to their client as customers, whereas obviously in the hospital world they're known as patients. So that's the slight difference that we use. However, for our staff, I think that it's the awareness of each other's roles, how they impact on the patients and the customers, the awareness of what happens beyond the bed, as we call it, don't we? The community. It's about the holistic approach from day one, from the treatment programme to what support mechanisms that people will need. And that's not only the person, that's the family unit and who's involved in that person's life and care. And that can have a massive impact, can't it, on some of the discharge plans that we have.
I think we've got quite rapid access to other services fairly quickly, haven't we? Especially in Frank's case, we were able to access the housing that very same day.
Yeah.
And on the ward, you've got the occupational therapists, physios, nursing staff you can really link into fairly quickly. And all work towards getting the discharge.
Yeah, you know, having to make phone calls and trying to get older people are all working with you, so it speeds things up. And like Catherine said with the housing, we were able to identify that he needed this temporary flat. We were able to move him the same day and made referral to the housing the same day, and they were onto it pretty quickly.
On the primary assessment team, because we go out and do the assessments in the customer's home now rather than on the ward, we identified problems that very same day of discharge, which then enabled us, because Frank didn't have the facilities at home and it was unsafe for him to stay there, we were able to move him straight away.
Like with any change, it's getting used to it and getting used to the change and the way we worked. You get very entrenched, and it's just getting the mindset.
The whole of the services coming together and we feel as one team, don't we?
Yeah.
And that enables us to give a better service to patients by reducing length of stay. And by reducing length of stay, we reduce patient harm as well, because when they're not in hospital any longer than they need to be, there's less chance of them developing a hospital-acquired infection, having any harms such as pressure ulcers and falls. We've also seen less complaints, because the longer the patient's in, the more chances that the relatives or the patients will complain because things aren't quite up to the standard that they want it to be. But the fact is that if we can get the patients out in a much more timely way, it's better for all.
And it's extremely important that we listen to what the patient wants and needs are, but also being sensitive to the family members who care for them and who advocate as well for them. So it can become, it's a very complex balance of communication and negotiation is the best way I can, we can put it. So that is a key, it is a key factor.